Om Namah Shivaya. So this evening we continue the program Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita with Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati. And she started last night with the first lecture, and this morning we had the second one. So now is the third talk in this series. And this set of talks examines the ways in which the word yoga is used in the Bhagavad Gita. So Swamini Svatmavidyananda is speaking from India. So for her, it's now early morning on Thursday, and we are here in the Bahamas on Wednesday night. So Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati, PhD, is a widely recognized scholar of Advaita Vedanta, teaching internationally through lectures and seminars. She is a disciple of Pujya Sri Swami Dayananda Saraswati and is known for her expertise in interreligious engagement and Advaita Vedanta. She is the Acharya of Arsha Vijnana Gurukulam, and it centers throughout the United States. Let us welcome Swamini Svatmavidyananda Saraswati.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you. Yogastha Kuru Karmani Sangam Tyaktva Dhananjaya Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. We have seen this at length. A few other things are there to discuss and tie up. And that has to do with the first part of this verse which I just chanted. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. So the equanimity is in relation to the acceptance of the result of action. We saw that. And that acceptance is called, known as prasada buddhi. We saw that also. And this prasada buddhi means the ability to see the result of action as sacred, as a manifestation of the Lord in one's life. And in order to do that, we saw how the Lord and the devotion, the relationship to Ishvara has to take a central place in the life of the sadhaka, a spiritual aspirant, a seeker of what is called moksha. So it has to take a central place. And the centrality of Ishvara is in relation to what? In relation to managing one's raga and dvesha, one's strong preferences and prejudices, because of which we have a concept of what constitutes success and what constitutes failure. This is very, very important. And everybody collectively participates in these concepts of quote unquote success, quote unquote failure. So then, so we have certain set responses. Somebody was looking for a job, they got the job they wanted, dream job. Oh, congratulations for your success. We consider that success. And then somebody had some kind of a disappointment in their marriage. Oh, so sorry that your marriage failed. We consider that a failure. This is like we collectively participate, because there are not just individual raga dveshas at play, there are collective prejudices and preferences that everybody, the whole society buys into, and then projects those over things in the world, over accomplishments and lack thereof. So this is what Bhagavan Krishna is saying, Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. So making this idea of success and failure, first of all recognizing them as notions. They are notions. And it's an upside down notion, just like the upside down tree in the Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita opens with a very intriguing metaphor of the upside down tree whose roots are invisible, And what all one can objectify, that one can relate to, are the branches and the leaves. And the roots are Brahman. The roots is Bhagavan, which one is not able to see as an object, because oneself is this Bhagavan that needs to be discovered. How? Through the study of the Bhagavad Gita, through the study of Vedanta, no doubt, and also through the practice of Karma Yoga, in order to qualify for the study of Brahma Vidya. And so, therefore, there is a very, this upside down tree is a metaphor of upside down priorities. People are not interested in going to the root, people are not interested in understanding the root. They just want the low hanging fruits of accomplishments. So you trade the roots for the fruits in the here and now. In fact, the word phala, phala is a very interesting word. Sanskrit, every word, in every word is embedded the meaning. And what is the meaning of phala? The meaning of phala is palgutaya liyate. That which is subject to rotting is phala. So one becomes, totally obsessed with, in the course of life, of the low hanging fruit of the tree of karma. Whereas the roots of that tree is you, is Ishvara. And that is invisible because it is you. You are the subject who can never be objectified. And not seeing that, not knowing that, one trades this, this idea, the local idea of success. Either one is reaching for the fruit and gets the fruit, oh, success. Or one is like a fox, the story of the fox and the grapes. So, jumps, nothing happens, jumps, nothing happens, and then goes away in disgust and sorrow, and then says, something is wrong with the grapes. The grapes must be sour. So, this is the mentality of the jivas. This is and here the Bhagavad Gita, in Ishvarizing the whole universe, in giving us the advice to Ishvarize the entire universe, is doing nothing less than telling us to question and rethink and redefine the concept of success and failure. The local definitions of success, namely acquiring something that one wants, and the local definition of failure, getting rid of something like what does one doesn't want. We can think of numerous things. Don't want old age, certainly don't want death. Why go to such drastic example? Don't want gray hair, don't want don't want to put on weight, don't want to do this, all these things, don't want to want to keep people at bay that trigger me, all these things. So this wants and the idea of success is able to keep at bay what I don't want and able to bring to myself what I want, is a very, very, very subjective idea of success. Even though the whole world may be participating in it, it is a wrong idea of success, says the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because you cannot control. You cannot control anything. Sometimes you cannot even control how your own mind will react to any particular thing. You have no say over the ways of the mind. If you did, then you would be able to tell me. You would be able to answer my question, which I am about to ask. What is going to be your next thought? Please tell me. Uh, I don't know. That would be the answer. What is your next thought? Come on. Well, I'm going to plan to think of a bird. Well, that's not the next thought. That is something that you plan to think of, but what is really the next thought? And you don't know. You don't even know what is the next thought. Which is the leading mantra of the Kenopanishad. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha. The student who is an adhikari asks the teacher, impelled by what force do thoughts fall in the mind one by one? Because I am sure not thinking them. The thoughts are thinking me. And how is this happening? What is that? So, really speaking, what is it that you have a say over? Like I said, T.S. Eliot summed it up very nicely. Should I wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled? So there is a small little, should I dye my hair green? Why do you want to dye your hair green? So that I can confuse the people whether the sthavara, trees, etc., have become jangama, moving. Whether the trees have started to move, I can just confuse the people and keep them guessing. That's about all the choices. These choices you don't have a say over. And they lead to disappointment. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनयः एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Fifth chapter. These concepts of successes, that gaining something that I want is success. Oh, Arjuna, Lord Krishna says, samsparshajaha bhogaha. These enjoyments based on your concept of success, that is contacting the things I want. Dukkhayonayaha evate. They come from the birth canal of sorrow and lead you to sorrow. Why? Adyantavantaha, because they are Adiman and Antavan. So they have a beginning and they have an end. And the wise, the Buddha, naramate, they don't indulge in them. The wise keep away from that concept of success which has a beginning and which has an end, because they want that which is infinite, which is the truth of themselves. So they stay away not only from the objects of delight that bring them delight, but from the notion. It's not enough to avoid the objects, and avoiding the objects may not be possible. But what we are interested here is in transforming the notion of success as tethered to the gain of wants and keeping at bay what one doesn't want. That is what has to be reformed. That definition of success has to be reformed. And so this is where the samatvam comes. Otherwise, disappointed, you'll say, yes, I didn't get what I want. Samatvam, sniff, sniff. That is not the point. The point is that the problem is in the definition of success as the fulfillment of your likes and dislikes, which the Bhagavad Gita radically interrogates and revolutionizes the very concept of success. Pray then, what is success? For that, we have to make a big jump, like Hanumanji's jump from Rameshwaram to Jaffna. He jumped from India to Sri Lanka. Jump. So we have to make a leap. Where should we leap? Oh, not very far. Just to the 46th verse of the 18th chapter. Yatah pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavah. That same siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva, there the siddhi, success, is redefined. Success comes from understanding through the journey of one's life. I'm just summing up the verse, I'm not going to translate it. I'm just summing up the essence of it. Success comes from understanding the journey of life. To be what? To grow from a person who wants to do as they like to a person who learns to like everything that they need to do. This is the transformation. I am a successful person according to the Bhagavad Gita if I learn to like whatever that needs to be done. Because the impossibility of doing as I like, if you've lived a few years, you know. If you have been married, you definitely know you can never do as you like, because there is the significant other, there are children, and if it's an Indian marriage, you don't just marry one person, you marry the entire village. Okay, so there are so many egos to placate, so many relatives. relatively speaking, and then so many people who have to be kept happy, and then so you can never get what you want. Absolutely not. That is why marriage is recommended for moksha, because nothing prepares you for freedom like marriage. you know, you become emotionally mature very, very quickly when you live in partnership because a partnership is a sinking ship. Okay, so then because so many ragas, so little time, so many dveshas, so little time, so one quickly becomes ready for moksha. This is what it is. So the concept of success, where is the success here? If success is getting what I want, then the whole world feels like a failure. All the jivas are crying because they feel like a failure. Simple. Redefine the notion of success not as someone who is ready to fulfill all the raga and dveshas and who is successful in fulfilling the ragas and dveshas, but as someone who is successful in managing those very raga and dveshas. That is the transformation from wanting to do, striving against the grain to do as I love and to do what I like, to grow into a person, to do whatever needs to be done, to like whatever needs to be done. This is a very major transformation. How do I do that? Fortunately, there is another definition of Karma Yoga that we can hang on to understand how to make this transformation. And not very far from this verse. This verse is the 48th verse, in the second chapter. And when we go to the 50th verse, there we have the second definition of Karma Yoga. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam, often defined or translated as skill in action. Kaushala is translated as skill in action. Not a wrong translation, but it is not it doesn't shine the light. And sometimes it can mislead also. Skill in action is yoga. Arre, what does skill in action mean? A pickpocket is very skilled in action. You don't even know that your pocket has been picked or your pocketbook has been picked. You were traveling on the bus, you just felt somebody slightly bump into you, and in fact they even made eye contact and said, so sorry, I didn't mean to do that, it was just somebody behind me just pushed me and whatever. And then and you thought, oh, what a nice day I'm having, such a polite person, and they got off at the next stop. And suddenly you felt vairagya coming on when you touched your pocket. You have got enforced vairagya from your wallet. Very skilled fellow, the pocket, the pickpocket. And let us say the pickpocket is also a very religious person. Every day gets up and prays, oh Lord, let every pocket be full today, full of greenery. Maybe the pickpocket, has an Ishta Devata. I can't even imagine what kind of Ishta Devata the pickpocket will have. Maybe Rudra, because only Lord Rudra can deal with these kinds of people. So, and then, the pickpocket prays in the morning with his children who are also being trained into the trade. Oh Lord, let every pocket be green. Let me not be caught. And let me have success. Correct? And then the pickpocket is very skilled in action. You don't even know what happened to give you vairagya from your possessions, credit cards, and money. And so, can we consider the pickpocket in a karma yogi? There is some problem with that, right? Even though we may not know anything about karma yoga, that doesn't sound correct. Why? Because obviously it's not just skill. The word kaushala is his discretion in interpretation, his expertise in something else, his expertise in interpreting. Interpreting what? The flip side of action, karma, which is dharma. So, getting to a place of equanimity with siddhi and asiddhi, success and failure, is not possible without Ishvara. We saw that earlier, and then it is not possible. Now we see without recourse to dharma, without understanding and incorporating dharma in one's life, not as a mandate of God, but as a very manifestation of God. That is why the pickpocket is not a karma yogi, because he or she is disturbing the ethical order called dharma, which is inbuilt into the jagat. In the manifestation of the very world, dharma is inbuilt. It is not something that needs to be taught in Sunday school, Bala Vihar, all these things we have for children. It is something that is just reinforced in Sunday schools. Every child has inbuilt a concept of dharma. What is right, what is not right, the child knows. A 2-year-old may snatch the toy. I saw this, at one satsang I was leading. The mother was there with two children listening to the talks. And to keep them occupied, one had a coloring book and another one had some toy so that they would not disturb. And then the younger one was very strong, bashed up the older one with the coloring book, snatched the toy from the other one, and snatched the coloring book back also. And the older one started to cry and yell and all these things. And so there was this, what is that? There was this tussle, and the the entire the people in the satsang were getting little bit disturbed, but it was also a very teaching moment. It talked about how even though there is this tussle, the child that had snatched the books and the toys saw this elder sister cry, and then and then after a while gave the coloring book back. Okay, 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 take it. This was dharma inbuilt in the child. No, the mother didn't even have to tell. What you're doing is wrong. The mother told later. Give the toy back, give the coloring book back. But before even the mother told this, the child said, okay, okay, take it. And this was a very interesting moment, a teaching moment for everybody. That dharma is something that is built into the human heart. Along with raga dveshas, dharma is coexisting. There are strong preferences and prejudices in every heart, no doubt, but along with that, the thermostat is given to manage, to turn down the raga and dveshas, which is dharma. The knowledge of what is right is given. It doesn't need to be taught. If it is taught, it's just reinforced, that is all. And what is this dharma? It is a universal matrix of norms which cannot be really enforced. This is what is called Samanya Dharma, universal Dharma. It is never okay to steal. It is never okay to pick somebody's pocket. It's not that in one country it is not okay to pick some pocket. In India it is not okay to pick some pocket. But then if I go to some other country, then it is okay to pick the pocket there. No, there also the same laws apply. It's never okay to defraud. It's never okay to cheat. Why? Because it is based on what in English is called the golden rule. What is this golden rule? Golden rule means do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Do not do unto others what you don't want them to be done to you. And going back to the pickpocket, let us say the pickpocket was having a very bad day. He picked my pocket all right, but then he got off at the next stop and went on to catch another bus. and he met his master there. I mean, not master as in the Lord or a guru, but master as in master pickpocket who picked his pocket. So now my wallet is already 2 times removed. It's no longer with the original pickpocket. The pickpocket's pocket was picked of his pocket and his pocketbook and my pocketbook too. And then what happened to the pickpocket? The pickpocket got so upset that he called 911, the number for emergency, called the police, reported. And of course, the police might ask, this is just a made up story to illustrate this. So let's say the police asked, why were you having two wallets in your pocket? Then the pickpocket would get incriminated himself. And then so this goes to show, this is why in every time in the news we have a section on what is called dumb criminals. Why? Because they felt so outraged that their human rights were violated. Doesn't matter that they stepped on dharma and did so many things wrong. But when something was stolen from them, they called the cops. So, like this, the outrage of this dharma being violated makes it the first purushartha, the first thing to accomplish. Even by someone who doesn't love dharma, if you say, I don't love dharma, you want everybody to be dharmic towards you, is it not? Yes. That's why it is the first thing to accomplish in one's life in order to be a sadhaka. I don't cheat anybody, I don't defraud anybody, I don't lie to anybody, I don't hurt anybody, at least intentionally. This is what is Samanya Dharma. And it is unenforceable except by following it and hoping that you will run into people who will also follow it out of respect for you who is following Dharma. This is something which is very, very beautiful. And unfortunately, this Samanya Dharma is not something static. It is dynamic, meaning it is not a static instruction booklet. It has to be constantly interpreted, landing everybody in what is called Dharma Sankata. Dharma Sankata means conflict regarding Dharma. This is what Arjuna had in the first chapter. Here are my gurus, here are my elders, and Dharma Shastra says, respect your teachers, respect your elders, and here I am with the bow and arrow, directed against them. What is wrong with me? What is correct? What is right? That is why he needed Krishna to explain Dharma. Lord Krishna had to come and explain right there in the middle of the battlefield, which is an appropriate place for the dissemination and the transmission of Brahma Vidya. Why? Because this is the Kurukshetra is right here, the inner battle between what is correct and what is not correct. The confusion. Confusion is because of the eclipse of raga and dvesha. The raga and dvesha makes one want to cut corners and constantly flout dharma. Constantly flout dharma, like so many times, I want this job, and I'm headed to the interview, and then I see somebody else also headed to the interview. So where is this interview taking place? I don't know, the person says. You know very well where it is taking place. It's on the 3rd floor in room 305, let us say. But then the other person looks very clever and looks to be so very much for this, like a very important competitor for you. So what do? Oh, go to the 6th floor, room 603. Go there. Why? Because you want to have a headway. Let them be late. You want to make them late so that their chances are cut up. And then you say all is fair. I'm also, that fellow is dumb. He should have or she should have looked up the properly the room number. And it was after all given in the call in the email that was sent out. So that means they did not do their homework. It's not my problem. Let them flounder. Let them be late. So this is how one cuts corners. And cutting corners, means you are still focused on raga dvesha fulfillment, not on redefining the concept of siddhi as managing raga and dvesha. One is cutting corners all the time. Therefore, there is Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is the skill here, the expertise in interpreting Samanya Dharma. Interpreting Samanya Dharma, because the Samanya Dharma is not static, it is dynamic, and as I said, unfortunately, it doesn't come with an instruction booklet. You have to interpret in real time, constantly, and you have to make, you have to see that you are following dharma at all times. So if Samanya Dharma is a big circle, Vishesha Dharma is a concentric circle inside a circle, inside a circle, a smaller circle. Vishesha Dharma is nothing but Samanya Dharma articulated for particular times and particular places. Don't tell a lie, Samanya Dharma. But yet, we find as Lord Rama is being driven away to the forest by the minister in the Ramayana to fulfill the father's vow, King Dasharatha calls him back, calls the minister who is driving the chariot, he says, "Turn the chariot back, my son is not going anywhere, I will not be able to live without my son. Turn it back, bring him back." And Rama says, "Don't stop, don't make a U turn, keep going." And the minister says, "It's easy for you to say, oh prince, keep going. You are going to get off at the forest. I have to come back and face the king," because by this time the king was getting irate and threatened the minister, "Off with your head if you don't turn the chariot around." And the minister was in a terrible state. And Rama, who is seen as the embodiment of dharma, you know what he tells the minister? He says, "You know what? You tell the king when you come back that you couldn't hear his orders because of the wailing of the people of Ayodhya and the hooves, the dust and the noise of the hooves of the horses drawing the chariot." So Rama told a lie. OMG, this is terrible. How can Rama tell a lie? Rama did tell a lie. But then why? That is given in the next line of his explanation, his defense. He says, "Please do this because my father, neither my father nor the people of Ayodhya can stand a second parting. One goodbye has been said. You can hear their wails even now. My father's heart is not so strong as to endure a second parting, because in the first parting itself his heart is broken. And I have to go because that is the way, that is where the dharma is. I promised him. He made a promise to my stepmother, and I have to fulfill that promise. And that is dharma. I have to keep my word, and he has to keep his word. And so there is no negotiation there. This is a non-negotiable thing. And so therefore what? Therefore there cannot be a second, there cannot be second guessing on this. So keep going." He did tell a lie, but it doesn't benefit him. It in fact benefits other people. And so this is how we learn how the Samanya Dharma is tweaked for different situations while keeping Samanya Dharma, which is, the best Dharma is Ahimsa. That is why it is called Ahimsa Paramo Dharma. Ahimsa, non-injury, non-hurting emotionally, physically, mentally, is the prime dharma, the prime most dharma. And if we keep that on top here, Rama's action of lying, telling a lie, was actually, in favor of ahimsa. So therefore, this is what Samanya Vishesha Dharma is. It is not okay to hurt, but then what? The surgeon wields a scalpel, cuts up the stomach, takes out a tumor, but that is again for the greater good of the person's life. It's a life-saving surgery, Vishesha Dharma. Then, if Samanya Dharma is a big circle, Vishesha Dharma is a circle within a circle. Inside Vishesha Dharma, you can make one more circle, a small circle, Swadharma. What is it that you have to do? Again, depending upon your station in life, depending upon your occupation, this is a no-brainer. If you are a student, study. Don't start making TikTok videos. That's what the whole thing is, and become some kind of a TikTok star. If you're a student, study. Simple. If you're a parent, take care of the children. If you are a spouse, you have some duties. If you are a co-worker, you have duties. If you are an employer, you have duties towards the employees. If you are an employee, you have duties towards the boss. This is a duty-based culture. Kartavya. You do what you have to do. Your likes and dislikes don't come into play at all. You do what you have to do. Why? Because that is the way to manage. It's like what should I say, a boot camp. A spiritual boot camp to manage raga dvesha is the third component of dharma, swadharma. You're following Samanya Dharma, you're following Vishesha Dharma, and how are you expressing your articulation of your talents and your contribution to your family, to your community, to your state, to your country, to the world is Swadharma. It is just so beautiful. And here is where Swakarmana tam abhyarchya, you can go back later and look at the magnificence of the 46th verse of the 18th, the last chapter, the 18th chapter. And Swadharma is done at the cost of great sacrifice. You put on the altar your raga and dvesha. Your raga and dvesha are just suspended. They don't come into the picture. If you are a mother or a father, you cannot say, I don't feel like taking care of the child. You cannot do that. It's not an option. It goes against dharma. Dharma is a manifestation of Ishvara. It goes against Ishvara. And even if you pray, let me put this child away, let me put this child out, oh Lord. Even if you pray, it's not going to be helpful, because your job of taking care of this child is Ishvara, and then you cannot make Ishvara go against Ishvara. You cannot do that. Just like the pickpocket standing in front of the altar and saying, let every pocket be lined with greenery. It's the same thing. And this happened in India many decades ago. One man was selling ice cream to children in front of a middle school. And the children got addicted to the ice cream. There were other people selling ice cream too in carts. But the children always wanted to buy this particular ice cream. And nobody knew why. After that, we found out, and the children started to get sick. He was putting some kind of an addictive substance, some kind of a low dose of some drug. And then he was caught. And he said, oh, don't worry, Your Honor. In his defense, he said, I was planning to build an orphanage in my village with the money that I got. This is not Swadharma, okay? This is not Samanya Dharma. This is not Vishesha Dharma. So Swadharma means sacrifice. Swadharma means letting go of raga dveshas and doing what you need to do, not what you want to do. What you need to do takes priority over what you want to do. And we will see more of that. We'll continue in the morning. We'll see this more in detail. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
We would like to thank very much Swamini Svatmavidyananda. Let's give her a big hand for this talk. And tomorrow she will continue the program in the morning satsang and then also in the evening satsang. So the morning satsang, we started